Hello everybody, Mechanics Tips today. Say hi, Rocky. Okay, so we have us an escape, another escape, and I'm guilty anymore with these. I just buy the purge valve assembly when I find the code. So this code's going to be basically the PO496. And this code it's applicable to some General Motors and stuff too. It kind of resembles the same purge valve assembly on the Traverses and a couple of the Malibus and things like that with the 3.6. So if you look, the purge valve is right there, but you have to buy this whole $255 line assembly, or probably go out online and get it cheap. But I buy my parts through the Ford Garage just when it comes to this stuff, because aftermarket seems to be not very good. You can take this off and get your fingers back in there, change the whole line assembly. I just take the one hose off and run it in without taking anything else off. Not bad, decent money. But the tip on this one is, the customer called and they basically said, well, I got a starter or a battery issue. And as a mechanic, you do have to take for granted that, sometimes when somebody's saying these things, I'll put the phone down for a second. When somebody's saying these things, that they may not 100% know what's going on with their car. They're just guessing. Us as mechanics, we tend to, think just because we know it that everybody else knows it. So you have to ask them what was going on. And I called the customer after I had found no battery problem, no starter, and haven't had no trouble with anything. So I pulled the codes, and I just cut this off. You will be able to see here, or here, you can blow through the purge valve. That's all I do is once I'm done, I just cut the lines, and you can actually probably get just this and put it in there if you wanted to some way. But this blows through. And what that does is, say you go to a gas station, you put gas in your car, and you go to start it, and it acts like it just cranks. It won't fire. That's because it pushes the fuel vapors from that line, because that diaphragm is bad, into the engine, which floods it out. Kind of acts like a choke on when it doesn't need to be choked. So I called the customer. I said, what happens to be, and it's his daughter's car, so he wasn't there, just going by what she said. And I said, well, I didn't find no battery issue. I load tested it, and he's like, I didn't even have to jump at bringing it over to you. And I was like, okay, you had no problem starting it? He's like, no. And I said, well, I went a little further and seen the check engine light was on. I know the last time it was in here, the check engine light wasn't on. So I dug into that, and you have a purge valve problem. Basically what this can do is crank over, especially if you're at the gas station, you just got to put gas in. And he says, well, she was at the gas station. That's exactly when it happened. So you put two and two together, and you can kind of understand that it was just somebody explaining something, saying it was a battery or starter issue, when it really wasn't. The car didn't start, and you think starter issue, and it's more starting issue, not really battery. They said they had to jump it, but if you're sitting there cranking it over trying to get it to start, you can run the battery down. So sometimes you got to get some extra information. But yes, this is PO496. Same thing real bad with the Traverses. I don't know why the Traverses are over any of the other ones, but they run the same style purge valve. I said PO496 escapes. I'm sure there's other cars that have it, but these are just the ones in my area that I run into a lot. So hopefully that video was informationally helpful, and then y'all have a good day.